So today, as we have agreed last time we met, we are going to be talking about the spirit world. Mostly our idea in terms of understanding the life of the spirit, we will be more focusing on the good part, because the bad part we can imagine already. Definitely is going to be worse than life on earth. So we don't want to get there that much. We don't need to get there that much, but it's important. So sorry.
What?
Thank you. Hi, Marlene, Orlando, Philip. So for starters, it's always important for us to remember that in terms of spiritism, we do believe that we are spirits, immortal spirits, that we had, let's say, a time that we were created, but from that point on, we go forward towards eternity. To understand exactly what this means, it's still very far from what we can, you know, have any kind of idea. We can more or less understand what can become of us in the next few centuries, but going further than that, and even to the point of understanding what it means, even when we talk about joy and happiness from our human concept, if we were to ask you, what is happiness for you? Each one of us would have a different opinion, and not necessarily any of us would be right or wrong, right? Because everything goes according to our needs. So starting from this understanding that we are spirits, that we are immortal spirits, and that the majority of our immortal life, we actually live in non-physical or non-material worlds, it would be very useful for us to have an idea and know how to prepare when the time for our stage or stay in on the spirit realm would come to all of us. So this first one is a drawing that was made representing the spiritual colony Nosolar. They say that it has this shape of stars and divided with the ministries and all of that. And so this is a beautiful drawing that we brought here. So we start again also by remembering that statement from Jesus that there are many houses, many mansions in our Father's house, meaning that not only planet Earth is the one that has life. We may not understand life in all of its senses, or how it is life in more evolved worlds than our, but it doesn't mean that there is not a form of life. So this is a reassurance actually for us, because even when we come to, in terms of the studies that we have about astrology that already foresees an ending to our planet for whatever reason, the sun or the neighboring galaxy hitting us, we know that we do not depend only on this house or this planet, that we as immortal life could be living in different worlds because this is the understanding that we have, one actually of the tenets of Spiritism when it talks about the multitude of worlds. I'm going to make just a stop to see if you have any kind of remarks so far.
Yes, Sarah, you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to know, in these houses, are there, how should we say, uh, laws? Are there, how should we say, uh, sin, evil,
Uh,
that kind of, that type of structure?
okay. We have in the Gospel according to Spiritism, actually, when it talks about this chapter, I think it's chapter 3, this phrase from Jesus. It talks about the different kinds of worlds that we have, those that are even more primitive than Earth, and then the ones that are on the category of Earth, that is called trials and atonements, that we don't need to say anything else with this adjectives. We already understand what it means, trials and atonements. Then we have worlds of regeneration, which is what we are learning from the spirit realm that we are transitioning right now, where good will prevail, not meaning necessarily that we will not have suffering and difficulties and even certain bad behaviors, but where good is going to prevail. And of course, it doesn't happen overnight. Okay, this has been started for over 100 years, and perhaps the transition is going to last another 100 years until in 100 years or so, we can finally say, now we can see the characteristic of a world of regeneration. Then we have world of happiness, and then we have the celestial worlds. So this is just, of course, a way of cataloging. It's not written in stone. It's not just, one stage. Others is not like a ladder. It's more like a ramp. Okay, the transition from one world to another will have, a mix of probably considering the regions, considering the inhabitants. And we can see that on planet Earth. We have regions on planet Earth that we will say, those are countries that have already a more evolved way of thinking, not evolved only in terms of technology, but in terms of thinking about the well-being of their citizens, etc., etc. And we will have worlds that is still, we have even cannibals or things that we can consider very, very primitive in a way. So it doesn't mean that in one world we will not find certain clusters of representatives of worlds that were even, the primitive worlds, or world like is the one that we live, the trials and atonements, or world that is already a world of regeneration. So we see that even in our planet. Love, considering that we were created by the breath of love of Jesus, in a very poetic way of putting things, love is what rules the universe. So not only love is going to be always present, but then it's going to be the pure love in a way that we still do not know and are not capable of feeling. So far, our love is much more directed to physicality, to whims, than actually this altruistic love or love for the holy, for the beauty, for everything that should deserve a different kind of love.
Gisela, very
Unfortunately, in
quickly,
the English language, we have just one word for love, In the Greek, we have, I think, 7 words for love that goes according, 4 of them are more, I heard 7, but I know 4 of them. And that goes exactly that. I mean, it makes a distinction in what we, in how we understand love.
But I just want to say this and I'll keep quiet. So it seems like, you have, like always, explained yourself very beautifully. But it seems like it's up to science now to counteract this situation. We cannot go through centuries of suffering. I mean, there was, there's maybe a logic to it, but no, science will help us. That's it.
Yeah, I agree, Orlando, but again,
But you have it. You understand. You could. I don't know. Do something.
but
In the name of human.
it's in an individual level. We have to take a responsibility. The little things that we could do for our own happiness that we do not do. We could be sleeping better, more or less hours, depending on how our physical body needs. We could be eating food that we know that is not going to be damaging to our organs. We could be drinking more water. Like myself, I always have this bottle here in front of me, and I don't drink it. And I know that my body needs it. We could be exercising. So the little things that we could already be doing for worrying a bit less with things that do not deserve our worry. So there are so many things that we could be doing, and that it is within our reach, that could improve tremendously our way of living. But we don't do it. We don't put enough effort. We are still too weak to do it. So those are just the little things. So within our inner home, and really in the home, the physical home where we are, we could be doing certain movements already that could improve reducing the level of suffering that we have. And of course, there are the other things that depend on the collectivity. So let me go ahead here and talk about the first ideas of the existence of spiritual colonies, because we are talking now about, the spirit, the life of the spirits. It comes from the Greek. They had this idea of, the Macarius, the Monte Olympus, where it was the world of happiness. You see, already from that time, we could understand the existence of beings more evolved and of worlds that happiness were going to prevail. Of course, we didn't have the notion like we have now from Spiritism, that they were not privileged beings, that they were not created apart from, the rest of us, that they were not special or created in a special way. The only thing is probably they were created before us or not, but they did their homework. They applied themselves and reached a position of spiritual involvement that at that point and until today we do not have. So there was already this idea of those special beings with special abilities. Of course, the more we grow spiritually speaking, the more abilities we will have. Communication through our thoughts, the peace of mind. We will have all that. And we see that all of these were even touched and explored by Socrates and Plato, to the point that we considered Socrates and the philosophy of Socrates that was demonstrated also by Plato, that about spirituality and being so like forerunners, almost like forerunners of all these spiritual ideas. And we have all of this present in the Gospel according to Spiritism as well. In the Spirits book and part 2, we talk, and chapter 6 is when we talk about the spirit life. So the first part of the spirit books, because it was actually very well structured by Kardec, it talks about God, creation, spirits, all this, the energy, the vital fluids. So all those things that we need to understand about the trilogy of creation, meaning on the top of the pyramid we have God, on the one of the other sides we have the spirit, and the other one we have matter. So this first part explains about it, and once it establishes the base of everything, then it's when we will start in the second part of the book exploring, understanding what it is to have this spirit life. So one of the questions that we have at 234 that asks, are there worlds that serve as layovers and resting places for errant spirits? Again, let's remember what it means, errant spirits. It doesn't mean spirits that are committing errors, okay? It means spirits that are in between incarnations, let's say, like this. Okay, so they are spirits, but they are not yet rid of the need to reincarnate. In a way, we can say why they are still in need of reincarnation, because they are still committing errors. So the word per se is not, doesn't mean those that are committing errors, but it implies as well that why will we still have not developed, we still go misguided somehow, we will be needing of this reincarnation. And the answer from the spirits is, yes, there are worlds that are specially adapted to temporarily serve errant spirits. They are like campgrounds where spirits may live and rest briefly after being errant for extended periods of time, a state that is always somewhat tiresome. These places are intermediary stations between the worlds of other orders and are organized according to the nature of the spirits who enter them. These spirits find the conditions of rest there more or less enjoyable. So not only we have the spiritual colonies, there are, on the Earth's crust, the surrounding planet Earth, but we may have spiritual colonies as well, in world. Let's say we look at the planet Moon, and not planet, the satellite Moon, and we know that at least for us, we cannot live there, we cannot breathe there. There is, so far we haven't discovered conditions that would allow humans to live there without all the apparatus that would be necessary for us to live there. But this is for the physical body that we have. But it can be a place for spirits to have those, layovers, resting places where they can stay until they will prepare for new reincarnations and in according to the world that they are going to be reincarnating. Any comment or question so far? So, another question that we have to understand about the spirit life is if spirits of different orders can mingle. Different orders is like we understand there are spirits that are more evolved, less evolved. There is so many peculiarities like we have here on planet Earth, right? We have people that are 100% intellectuals and others there are 0% intellectuals, some there are 100% love and service, others there are 0%, and this is goes from 0 to 100, and we have each one of us our own particularity. So they say yes and no, meaning they see each other, but they are still separated. They avoid or approach one another depending on the empathy or aversion of their thoughts and ideas, just like you. Your world is merely the obscured reflection of this spirit world. So in the same way that there would be regions that we will say, I don't think I will feel well in that region, being it because it's too much more, evolved than I am, or less evolved than I am for whatever reason. Right? We don't feel any kind of sympathy, empathy towards the people, towards the places, because of the customs, because of the food, because of, the way they respect or disrespect others. So in the spirit realm, it's going to be the same. Like minds attract like minds. So, if you're going to be invited for a meeting where people are going to be talking all the time about baseball, okay? If you love baseball, my God, this is going to be heaven. If you understand about baseball, wow, that's the kind of meeting with my peers of your dream. But if you do not like it, you do not understand anything, you go there and you're going to be a fish out of water, right? So in the spirit realm is the same thing. If I see a colony that is totally dedicated to the practice of forgiveness, and I cannot even forgive myself, how am I going to feel good there with every time people reminding and talking about something that I still do not want to do? So that's why they reply here, yes, there is the possibility. But in the same way that we will be getting together according to our affinity, there is the same thing. I'm going to be attracted more to one kind of spirit neighborhood in the spirit realm and than the other. And this, it doesn't mean that we have to say, oh, this is better, this is worse. This is where I feel happy, right? This is where I feel this affinity, okay?
Sarah,
Yes?
is there pain, suffering in the spirit world, or they need the physical body to experience what it is to be to feel pain, emotions?
Like we mentioned certain times, pain is a state of mind. It's a state of my spirit.
It
Okay,
hurts.
I can have physical pain because I have a physical body, but many times what ails us more is not necessarily the physical pain, but the emotional one. Physical pain, yes, we still can have and feel in the spirit realm because I still have a physical body. We talked about the perispirit. So there is a reflection of pain that we still can feel depending on our level of involvement. The more we evolve, and I mean, and I'm not meaning here becoming angels, okay? Just aware, awaken, okay? The less we will feel repercussions of physical pain in our spiritual body. But what ails us more is actually the emotional pain, the pains of the heart. And those pains are related to the spirit. If you are, here, married to a woman that you love tremendously, and then you die and you go to the spirit realm and you found out that your wife didn't love you, not only didn't love you, but as soon as you were dead, a month later she's already married to your best friend. Yes, you're going to feel a lot of pain, okay? Because the soul, the spirit feels. So until we reach the point of understanding that no one belongs to no one, okay, and that I do not have the right to have exclude or to ask for exclusivity from one person or another. So, like for instance, now I have a son, and I'll go to him and say, "Listen, I demand that you only love me as a mother. Forget the 500 mothers that you had in other incarnations. I don't even want to know if I were one of them. Okay, I am the only mother that you're going to love." No. Okay, he's going to love me as well as he's going to love other spirits that were good mothers to him in another incarnation. So yes, unfortunately, while we are still on this process of evolvement, we will feel pain. Even the superior spirits feel pain, not in the same sense as we feel in terms of getting into despair, but we hear of times where Jesus cried, for instance, and Jesus is a pure spirit. So he cried of compassion and love for humanity because he wished his brothers and sisters could be in a different condition right now. So 279, are all spirits mutually accessible to one another? The good can go everywhere, and it must be this way in order to bring their influence to bear upon the bad ones. However, the regions inhabited by the good are blocked off to lower order spirit, so as to not disrupt those places by introducing vile passions. So it's not that because I am a spirit that I can go whatever I please. You have to have the nuptial gown, like we have in one of the parables that Jesus presented to us. We even, when we read the books by André Lewis about life in the spirit world, it mentions that sometimes when they are going to be visiting, lower regions of more suffering present in the spirit realm, they even have to make their perispirit denser for other spirits to see them. So when we think about it, that is not only spirits, not all spirits can see other spirits. It's really, a really difficult idea for us to imagine, right? Because I will say, okay, I died, I'm a spirit. Of course, I'm going to see other spirits. No, you're not. because depending on the materiality, the physicality of that spirit, they are still going to be beyond our level of ability to see them. So we need to equip our spirits better in order to see more evolved worlds, more evolved spirits. And so it would be the same as saying, oh, but this doesn't seem to be charitable. Well, let's think on our perspective. Let's say now that we would say, you know what, is not charitable to leave prisoners that committed very serious crimes on the prisons. Let them, let us open all the jails and let them live among people. Do you think this would be good? It would be good for them? No, but what happens while they, or at least what should be happening? While they are in prison, other people that would be going there to help them, learning different ways, to give them the support. It's the same thing that the spirits do here. It doesn't mean that they are going to abandon those that are in lower levels of life, but they do not have the possibility of going to higher levels of spirituality unless for their own effort. Okay. Let's see another one. How are the spiritual cities? They are varied. There are those that have a very human characteristic to meet the needs of spirits very attached to earthly habits, and those of sublime expressions more distant from the earth's crust. In all places where there are material cities, there is a spiritual space, and in it are the relief stations and colonies. So if we think, well, describe to me, the spiritual cities, the spiritual colonies, how are, how are they? The spirits tell us here that depends on the citizens that are there. I can give you, for instance, a brand new home, completely furnished and cleaned. But if you're not an organized, clean person, one that will take care of things, 2 days after, we will go there and it is a mess. And then we say, wow, this is a mess. Well, but it doesn't bother me. I like this way. But to other people, would be horrible to live in, an unclean, messy place, right? So there are people that will have this kind of, depending to their level, their inclinations, like we said. So we will find colonies in this sense, spiritual colonies in this sense. But again, it's always the mind, the commitment of the spirits that are there that will make it possible for them to be of an inferior order, of a more evolved order. Small locations of incarnates, such as towns and villages, also have their spiritual space, but sometimes there are not colonies, no colonies and its inhabitants upon death, and having the condition, they go to the neighboring colonies they go to neighboring colonies. Every seat on earth has its corresponding spiritual core. So here it means that because we talk a lot, especially in Brazil, we talk a lot about the spiritual colony nosso lar. Okay, so it always comes to mind, oh, well, there is only this spiritual colony. What about, that is above the city of Rio de Janeiro? What about, other states in Brazil? What about other countries? And we will be seeing that along our studies, other colonies. So here they are saying that each place, each city, they have, and it's not necessarily a whole spiritual colony, but they have something that the Spirit Andrew Lewis also mentioning in his books. There are the outposts, like let's say uh, a small a village, not a village, but like an ER or a small place that we can go in our transition until we will be relocated to a place that we are going to be staying more until our next incarnation. Any comments? Yes. Your mic is closed, Orlando.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sure.
Does the spirit will realize that the mistakes, like reincarnating Adolf Hitler and other military that destroys so many bodies? I know you had told me that now they send them to a particular planet, but do they see the mistake that they have done and make the correction?
Yes, Orlando, and this is one in your other question when you ask it, do they suffer? This is one of the main reasons that we suffer, because we will look back and say, oh my God, I had so much and I didn't value. I had so many opportunities to go, to do something, to go in better ways, and I didn't take them. And on the contrary, I contributed for, bad things to happen. So this is the main reason that we suffer in the spiritual realm. It's not different in a way, even from, I remember we talked about it, in terms of showing affections or reconnaissance for the works of others. So we go about with our, and since, this week is the week of Thanksgiving, I don't know if some of you are going to be spending with family and friends. And I hear so many people complaining, oh my God, when we have family around, it's so hard, it's always so challenging. We are always only focusing on the negative aspects of people and not thinking about what they have of good, and we don't value that. And when we go to the spirit realm, either us or them before us, we'll say, oh my God, how much I regret that the only time that I would say something to them was to criticize. Why don't you do that? Why did you do that? Instead of saying, wow, I see how much struggle you have, and you're still keep on going and presenting some optimism. And I see, like we can say that to us in the mirror. I see the many things we still have to improve, but I also see how much we have accomplished already. And I mean, these are the things that will make us suffer and regret more. You know, when we do not have more the possible, whether because it was us that have passed, or them, when we don't have the possibility of going face to face, right? Because, yeah, they are spirits, we can communicate with them. I can send my thoughts and they will hear my thoughts. Unfortunately, the other way around, not always happen. But so those are things that we should be thinking and considering more. And so with this tone, I'm even going to stop here today. I think we should reflect about that in terms of this beautiful holiday. As a known native, yeah, American citizen, but not born in this country. I have to tell you, this is my favorite day or celebration of the year. Um, it unites everyone. It doesn't separate by any kind of, or race or color or gender or religion. Is a family gathering. And when I say family gathering, I say everyone, friends. It doesn't need to be by blood related, that we will be on their house, or they open their house to us, or even if we don't have that much family or many people to spend with, but it's still is a particular situation that we have at the time. It doesn't take the beauty of what it means in terms of possibilities, and above all, it's a day to give thanks. I mean, this year, I imagine many people will say, "Oh my God!" Like last year, how can I give thanks? It has been so challenging, right? So many difficulties happening, so much suffering. Maybe we are one of the lucky ones that are not going through that much, but still it is around. But still we have to be thankful, because in times of stress, struggles, we grow as well. And we have the possibility of developing more compassion, because now when we suffer, we understand the suffering of others as well. So yes, I think we have a lot to be thankful for, and to be able to live, to have this blessed incarnation, to have the opportunity of already making a better reservation in the spirit realm. When we return, let's work, to be able to be eligible for a suite, right? And so we have all that, and I think this is really very beautiful, and it is a blessing for all of us. And this holiday, as hard as it can be sometimes for people who don't have anyone, or people who does have, but they use all their time to fight among themselves, that we at least remember that is a day to give thanks, and that is a day for us to celebrate uh, humanity, because it's for all of us. And I wish all the countries could have, a similar day of celebration like this one. Unfortunately, they only thought about the material side of it. And a lot of countries now have the Black Friday. but they don't have the Thanksgiving. So, but Black Friday, they do have it. Um, so I wish you all a wonderful holiday, and we will be here together next week. Okay. So, Sonia, can you do the final prayer for us?